Good afternoon, Professor Ted. Dark figure crime is an expression used to describe crime that fails to be reported by certain individuals. Reason for that can be that one, the victim is embarrassed, thus they want to avoid the public talking about the incident and avoid seeing their image all over social media. Two, the victim is is afraid that the perpetrator will be released and in the future will come back to revenge on them. Lastly, 3. The victim is too young to know any better and is unaware that they have been a victim of a crime. Moreover, it is a fact that the rates for unreported crime are higher than the crime that is actually reported. Therefore, some suggestions that can assist crime to be reported is that 1. Police stations can provide more protection to their victims. Um, Local police stations should avoid placing victims' names and image out there on social media. I feel that way and victims will feel more comfortable going to stations and reporting their crimes and won't always feel that urge to hide themselves. And lastly, judges should become more strict when it comes to sentencing criminals. I feel that lately judges have become more lenient when handling their cases, especially more toward especially more towards rape cases. These past few years, the perpetrators have been college students, and judges tend to use the excuse of, oh, they're too young, they're drunk, they didn't know any better, and also, um, if I send them to prison, it will ruin their future. And um, like using those excuses won't and letting them free won't stop them from continuing hurting other people, and like that the crime rates won't decrease and crime will continue to be existing. Moreover, when I was younger, my father would consider me to be deviant, and every argument he would always label me as a follower. And reason for that was because when I was 14, we moved into a new neighborhood, and the teenagers there, they considered me to be too nice or too immature. And I guess at the time I was really desperate to be friends with them because I'm not used to that feeling of being alone. So I changed the way I was just to fit in. And with time, like I started changing my language, the way I spoke. I started using profanity, and I started changing the way I dressed. I wanted to look like the girls that I would hang out with. I also, I became really reckless, and I started doing things that were out of my family norms, and in general, I started vandalizing houses, and like, I would cause a lot of fights, a lot of unnecessary drama, and that wasn't me, because I've always been to myself, I was out of everyone's business, but ever since I started hanging out with them, I started a lot of fights, and I would record fights, stuff like that. I got in trouble a lot with my father, and he would, like I said, like he would always label me as a follower, because he knew that that wasn't the person that I was. And I guess that has been the only time that I became deviant. But other than that, I don't remember any other times where I've done bad things. So, you know, I advise people, like family members, people in general, to not really place labels on other individuals, because you don't know the things that they do. You don't know why they do the things that they do and the story behind it. Not everyone is a criminal. Lastly, I agree that it is necessary to criminalize nonviolent deviant behavior, because like that authorities will be able to prevent more lives being lost. For example, selling or buying drugs has become really dangerous nowadays. There has been times where consumers don't know when to stop and they overdose on the product, which most of the time causes their death. And when it comes to the seller, they don't really know what they're getting themselves into. Um, Once they're deep in the business, it's really difficult to get out of because they know too much. Therefore, they're placing themselves and their family in danger. Second, individuals who tend to speed are knowingly aware that they can cause a traffic incident. And I feel that officers should do more than just speeding tickets and should actually place people who speed in jail. And I feel like that drivers now will be more cautious and will try to avoid that kind of situation. And lastly, some of the thieves can be really dangerous to society because they carry firearms with them, and that's the method that they use to threaten their victims. And if victims don't um, listen to them, then there's a possibility that they will get hurt or even killed. But there's also some thieves who don't really have those intentions to harass or kill someone. They're just in desperate need to get money in order to pay their bills or to to feed their kids. But that's also no excuse to do deviant behavior like that. So the government should continue to criminalize it, because if they don't, then people will start doing it just because, and that's not a safety environment for everyone.